Hello, my crafty friends. I'm so excited that you're joining me for another Assemble This video today. My cards for today are all about achieving that vintage look. I just really love the vintage distressed look of this holly, and I wanted to play that up in my set of cards. I'm featuring the Cherished Holly November 2021 stamp set from Unity Stamp Company. Just has that beautiful holly image and then some really great sentiments for the holidays and then some for all year round as well. I have my images and sentiments pre-stamped on some pattern paper. Just kind of has a subtle pattern to it. And I like the way that that already started to build that vintage look for this card. Next, we're just going to simply color in the leaves of this holly. I'm only using two colors of Copics. This one is G24, and I'm just doing a light layer of color. I'm not even coloring everything in, just kind of adding to that vintage look of that book-like look, I guess you could say. Next, I grabbed G28, and the stamp already has some shading built into the image, so I'm just going over that with my darker green. And then when that was done, I just went in one more time with my lighter green, the G24, and just kind of smoothed everything out. Again, I'm not even working hard to get all the areas covered, just so I have a nice look of green in that foliage. Next, I'm using just two colors of red. I'm using R21 and R59. I did a bit of the dark in the shadow for the berry and then went in with the lighter R21. And now just to create a bit of a medium shade, I'm picking up some of that darker R59 with my R21, and that just kind of blends out the middle of those berries. And I'm just going to do this one more time. Super simple coloring. I like the way that I could really make some mass-produced cards with this image and this technique. You could mix up your pattern papers, just give each card a little bit of a different look. I do want to suggest that you pick a lighter color pattern paper with a real subtle pattern to it. That way your image is really going to pop against the background. But I do like the way it creates this nice little texture and movement behind the image. Again, I'm just going to color everything in with my lighter green Copic marker. And then I'll shade in with my darker green, and then I'll go over it one more time with that lighter green as well, just to kind of blend everything in. I love images like this that are just so easy to color. They don't take a lot of time. They don't take a lot of technique. You could go above and beyond and add even more shadowing and layering of colors, but I just love how this image lends itself to simple coloring as well. Now I have all my pattern papers kind of cut out and trimmed down with my different die cuts and mixing and matching my patterns. They seemed a bit flat, so I thought I'd amp up that vintage look, and I grabbed some distress ink in Vintage Photo, and I'm just blending around each edge of my pattern papers. It just really created a depth to each layer and each pattern paper, just kind of help them pop and to brighten them up in an interesting way. I think the vignette of the blend around the edge of the photo just kind of really lightens everything up in the center, so you get some nice dimension. I'm doing my sentiment as well. I just wanted each layer to really match with this blending technique. So everything that I cut up is going to get a nice blend. I'm using a mixed media blending mat to do my blending on. Just kind of helps hold the paper in place while I'm blending with my blending brush. And I'm starting off on the mat and then slowly building up that color and bringing it on to the paper. What's nice is the pattern paper is pretty forgiving. You don't see too many splotches. But if we do get a nice, or if you end up with a big splotch somewhere, what's nice about this vintage distress look is it's almost like it was meant to be. So it's very forgiving. So now that I've done all my layers, I'm just going to build this card up. Just going to tape down my big die cut panel straight down onto my card front. I'll probably be mailing these, so I am going to keep my layers down to pretty much a minimum, just 1 or 2 layers. And here I'm just trying to decide where I want to place that center panel. And then just to add a bit of texture and a bit of lightness to the card, I'm using this ivory burlap string by May Arts. Just going to wrap that around the center panel 3 times, and then I'll tie a bow. I always like to tuck my string in and underneath all of those strings. It just creates a nice tie, so they're all tied together in one little area rather than just tying my bow on top. I'm just going to fiddle with that just a little bit, get my bow about to the right size. I'll still fiddle with it one more time. So that's just a quick trimming off of tails for now. I'm going to add some foam adhesive right behind that panel. And then I'll pop that up right in the center of my card. And then one more layer of foam adhesive, and I'll pop up my holly panel right in the center. Fiddle with my bow now just one more time, and finally do the final trimming of the tails. And then I trimmed my sentiment down into a banner, and I'm just going to pop that up in the corner here of that, right above my holly image. And then just to finish everything off, to add a little bit of shine and movement, I'm using some clear Nouveau drops. I think these are called Morning Dew. Moving on to our second card and second panel, I'm just going to distress everything one more time. This time I die cut my holly panel, and what I like about the distressing is it kind of highlights that pattern from the dots and dashes from the die cut. It's kind of cool how that pops out. And now I'm just going to mat this panel as well. I trimmed down those pieces of pattern paper that I've already distressed with the vintage photo and blended the edges. And I'm just going to mat the top and the bottom there. It's a great way to use up a scrap piece of pattern paper when you want to mat something. Then I'll just trim those edges down to the side. I pulled out that ivory string just one more time, and I'm going to tie a nice little bow in the top corner here. Again, I wrapped it around 3 times and then tucked my string in and under all 3 of those strands, and then tied my bow around that. Get it to about the size that I like, and I'll fiddle with it one more time when I actually get it onto my card. This is just the beginning fiddling. I'm always fiddling with bows. They're so finicky. Added a bit of foam adhesive again, and then I'm just going to pop that up right in the center. And there we go, finally got that bow in place, and I'm going to do my final tail trimming. I have this little sentiment that comes in the kit. It's a little block sentiment that says holidays, and I'm just going to trim that down and then pop that up with some foam adhesive. So my sentiment says Holly Jolly Holidays. Really cute. And then I added some Nouveau drops as well. And here are the finished cards. I just really love the vintage look of these patterned papers. You can look in your stash or go perusing the stores to find a paper pack that has all the patterns that you like. And I love the simple coloring of this holly. It just really pops against that patterned paper. And then the simple accents of the bows and the Nouveau drops just finish everything off just perfectly. I really appreciate you joining me today. I'll have all the supplies linked in the description of this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you liked it. Plus, if you have any questions or sweet comment, post below. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!